Hello, my name is Daniela Fernandez. I'm the founder and CEO of Sustainable Ocean Alliance, and I have dedicated my life to solving for Global Goal 14, Life Underwater, conserving the world's ocean, seas, and marine resources. I am so honored to announce that the 2021 Flourish Prize for Goal 14 is awarded to ORA Estuaries in New Orleans, Louisiana, USA. This organization uses 3D printing technology to build concrete structures along the coast that help facilitate and empower coastal communities to rebuild historic oyster reefs that provide storm resilience, food security, and economic opportunity. Well done, ORA Estuaries. You should be very, very proud.
Hi, I'm Megan Buchter. I'm the director of the Fowler Center for Business as an Agent of World Benefit at Case Western Reserve University. At the Fowler Center, we run a program called Aim2Flourish that strives to teach students around the world about the UN Sustainable Development Goals and business's role in helping to achieve them. As part of this program, students seek out business leaders and social entrepreneurs and conduct interviews with them about their amazing business innovations that are making the world a better place. Another part of this program is our annual Flourish Prizes. Every year, we award 17 Flourish Prizes, one for each of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, to stories written and published on Aim2Flourish in the previous calendar year. Today, I have the great honor of being here with our Flourish Prize honoree team for Global Goal number 14, Life Underwater. I'm here with our professor, Chris Castile from Nicholls State University, one of his student authors, Otto, and business leader Tyler Ortigo from ORA Estuaries. Thank you so much to everybody for being here with me today. I'm so pleased to be able to speak with you. Chris, I'm going to start with you. I remember talking to you the very first time that we talked. You said about 5 years ago, before you introduced Aim2Flourish in your class, and look how far we've come. How have you been using Aim2Flourish in your class, and what are some of the results that you've seen?
Thank you for asking, Megan. So I use Aim2Flourish in my course on human relations and interpersonal skills. In that class, students are learning how to work in teams, learning how to manage themselves, learning various social skills like managing conflict, communicating supportively. And in this class, I've run various team projects through it. And the one that I've been the most satisfied with, because of the positive approach it brings into the classroom, and it encourages appreciative inquiry, which translates into so many different kinds of interventions that students can take with them in their lives. I love the project. I'm excited to bring it into my classes, and students get a whole lot out of it. They're looking around at businesses in the surrounding area, in the Bayou region of deep South Louisiana, to try and find businesses that are doing something beyond profitable, and something that's having a broader social impact, something that's aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And students enjoy the project. They learn how to work in a team that's been tasked with doing something I think is truly special. But also for them, I tell them, like, you may have come into this class thinking that, yeah, you're going to learn how to manage yourself more effectively. But if you listen to what we are asking you to go out and find, you're going to leave as a published author. And for them, that, they're curious, they perk up a bit for that. I've just seen a lot. They get a lot out of it. And I intend on continue using the project moving forward in my classes.
That's great. Thank you so much. It's so interesting. You have a very different class structure, I think, than a lot of our classes. I mean, we tell all of our professors or interested professors that Aim2Flourish could fit into pretty much anything. But it is really interesting to hear that your class is more focused on those interpersonal skills, less so focused on, let's say, sustainability or ethics, or one of the other topics that many of our classes are focused on.
Right. And I think there's still such a strong tie there, because I think I think deep down, I'm a psychologist, an industrial organizational psychologist by training. I think people generally want to do something meaningful for society. And I think when you can see that you can do something meaningful in a team setting, that's really powerful. And you can identify innovations that need to be celebrated. I think all of that is powerful. So even though it is a bit out of left field, there are so many beautiful ties into the content that we're covering. So maybe a bit unexpected, but it's certainly an addition to the class.
That's great. I mean, we're happy to be included. Can you tell us just a little bit about how you use Aim2Flourish in the course? How many is it introduced at the beginning, due at the end of the semester, short-term project? How have you incorporated it?
Sure. So it's a semester-long project. I introduce it right after forming the teams. And it's the first thing that they get to see before we even talk about how does a team develop and grow over time. So it's a project I introduce, and we touch various parts of the project over the course of the entire semester. But what I do is I use it primarily as a vehicle, a stimulus, if you will, for them to learn about how to work together in a team setting, how to manage conflict, how to contract with your teammates, build expectations, build consensus, how to move a project forward. So it's primarily used from that perspective. That being said, by the end of the course, when everything starts to get turned in, students are starting to make the stronger connections to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. By the end of the class, what happens on the last day of class, all students are presenting their paper in a poster form like you would at an academic conference. So everyone gets a poster printed courtesy of the library. They do it for free for us, thankfully. We put them all up in the classroom, and students get to go around and see the innovations that were identified in the various team projects, ask questions of one another. It's a pretty exciting day where everyone gets to just celebrate being done with the project, and also having identified something that in their view is very meaningful. They can see business doing something for a broader impact on stakeholders beyond just what's financial. So,
well, that's really great, and I would love to see some of these posters because that sounds really wonderful.
Happy to share.
Great, thank you, Otto. I would love to hear from you about going through the Aim2Flourish assignment, being a part of that team. I know that your teammates weren't able to make it here with us today, and that's okay. But I'd love to hear about your experience doing the Aim2Flourish assignment.
Yeah, it was very exciting to go through that process, because as Dr. Castile mentioned, they told us at the beginning of the project, you have the possibility to be a published author at the end of this, and really study something that's going to be impactful and something that could possibly be changing our world for the better. And that was something that piqued my interest, and I was very excited to learn more about and get and dive deep into this project. And Dr. Castile was mentioning how through his class he tries to help us with learning how to work within a team setting. And that was the first semester I think that we had gotten into COVID, and learning how to do everything virtually, and what the lessons that he kind of put in through the teachings and through the class, and then also working through this project has really helped me in my professional growth now with where I am, because everything is really done virtually now. I'm working for a company that just opened up headquarters in Providence, Rhode Island, and I'm located in New Orleans, Louisiana. So a lot of the lessons that he's taught us, through the class and working in a team setting has, really translated into what I'm doing today.
That's really great to hear. You didn't even know you were going to get all of that experience in one class.
Yeah, exactly.
Very lucky. So how did you find Aura Estuaries in Tyler?
So it was kind of just a process of just doing some digging into sustainable companies that, were looking into various innovations that could benefit the coastal zones of Louisiana, because coastal erosion is something that we are very aware of here in Thibodaux, Louisiana, in the coastal regions, and something that's, kind of close to home. And, was very interested in, once getting a better understanding of what the UN global goals were, understanding what his innovation was, and then just being able to reach out to him. Tyler was very receptive throughout the whole process, and very welcoming to me and the rest of my teammates, and really helping us out and understand what his technology was, where he likes to implement it, and what it's doing to really help our communities in South Louisiana and the Gulf Coast region.
So were you just, your group was specifically interested in kind of coastal erosion and companies that were making that a better situation, or that was specifically part of the project?
That was, Dr. Castile kind of left it open to, it kind of had left it open to us to really be able to, do our own research and figure out what companies we could find that were within the scope that could meet one of the UN global goals. And, we kind of identified a few of the global goals, and global goal number 14, life below water, was something that we had had a little bit of a piqued interest in. And, and then that led us to do some research into companies that might be doing innovations in the region that are, going towards that global goal. And that's how we came across Aura Estuaries and Tyler's company. And it was, like I said, he was very receptive and very helpful, and really enjoyed getting to speak with him. I actually still have the recording of our conversation that we had a couple years back. And it's just a lot of great stuff that he's doing down there. And, I really enjoyed learning about it, and, really learning more about the UN Global Goals in this process that we're in with the Aim2Flourish prize that we've been awarded.
And Megan, just to give you some context, it's a particularly salient issue for South Louisiana. Long story short, by the way that the Mississippi has basically been kept together, and we had these levees built to stop it from peppering the coastline with sediment. Essentially, the coastline is being washed away, a football field a day. It's a $1 trillion problem to fix. So it's a big salient problem that everyone in this area is well acquainted with. So it's definitely when I give my students carte blanche to look for businesses that are doing something beyond profitable, it's probably no surprise that this is something that came about. And still, it's incredibly important that we celebrate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Otto, I love hearing that part of your story, because I love that you kind of focused in on a global goal that you were interested in, and then found a company that was in that space, so that you had the opportunity, you and your team had the opportunity to learn more about a space, about an industry that you were really interested in. So I'm always curious how students pick and choose and find the organizations that they get a chance to interview. So that's a really cool story. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to share it.
We're super happy to hear it. Very happy that you're here with us. Well, Tyler, I'm super excited that you're here with us today, because I would love to hear more directly from you about Aura Estuaries and about what your company does.
Hi, my name is Tyler Ortigo. I'm one of the founder of Aura Estuaries. I've been working on growing living oyster reefs in the coastal protection infrastructure pretty much my whole adult life, since I was a senior at LSU back in the day. What happened, I was an engineering student trying to figure out what the heck to do with my life. And a friend of mine who ended up becoming one of my business partners said, "You should look into coastal engineering." And I was like, wow, that's a thing. I can go work on the coast. I'd grown up fishing and throwing cast nets my whole life, and it was, it was a revelation, right? And, so he was working on his master's thesis, which was growing oyster reefs into engineered structures. And so I was a student worker, and I sort of followed on after him. And you start getting after midnight, and you kind of making big plans, right? We ended up with patents, and we formed a company. We've got miles of this stuff out in the water. It's been a long journey, so it's we're evolving and hopefully getting better at it. Probably one of the things we're most proud of is that pretty much every one of our installations survived the record 2020 hurricane season intact. So we haven't been able to get out in the sets too much since Hurricane Ida, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to find everything still in place.
That's great. That's great. So can you tell us a little bit about how you build these?
The way we make our oyster reefs is by making a concrete-friendly skeleton in the shape of an engineered structure, or an oyster-friendly skeleton. We use concrete because the oysters like it. It's a good material for attachment. It's solid. It's heavy enough not to get thrown around in the waves before the oysters grow there. The goal is how much oyster can we get and how little concrete. So the first generation, we used precast concrete. Sizes range. We made them from 70 pounds to the most common one was over a ton. So they're heavy, but they actually cover a lot of ground. So they're very efficient space wise. Compared to a rock protective structure, we're using, it could be a quarter, it could be as little as a tenth of the material to get the same result. And then the oysters take it over. And so at the lightest end of the scale, we've actually made what I call oyster stakes, which are just concrete cylinders on a stake, and we go out in really low energy, protected environments where we're focusing on the oyster growth more than the protection, and we get them out there. One of the fruits of our labors over the years is a new form of 3D printing for concrete. So we've since spun that out to a company called Matrix, which is where a lot of the action is happening right now.
That's really interesting. And so tell us a little bit about just how this helps keep the coastline intact.
In Louisiana, we have this situation where the delta is kind of starved of sediments. And so as it naturally sinks, it's not getting built back up. So we're losing wetlands. And as these little ponds get bigger, the waves increase. There's more distance for the wind to blow over. The bigger waves hit the bank, they erode it more, and so it's kind of a vicious circle. By putting a physical structure against that bank line, you could somewhat mitigate the effects of those waves. Naturally, the way that it occurs is oyster reefs would grow right up into that interface with the plants. In fact, you'll often see them sort of mingle together, or you'll see oysters growing on the plant roots. And so we're just trying to replicate that natural process as much as possible.
It's really interesting. And do you do this just in Louisiana or in other places as well?
The bulk of my work has been in Louisiana. Matrix is located in North Carolina, and they're really taking a much broader emphasis.
Okay, great. And so now I'm just curious, Otto or one of his teammates reached out to you and said, I'm doing this assignment. Will you interview with us? And you said yes. So, a lot of students send out emails and they never hear anything back. So what about Otto and his team's email really got you to do the interview with this student group?
Yeah. So I got Otto's email, out of the blue, not expecting it. One of the parts, aspects of my mission is to be a part of the community and contribute. And so the opportunity to work with students who are coming up, and possibly going to be leaders, in the near future would seem like a no-brainer.
Well, we are incredibly happy that you said yes. I'm sure Otto and his team are as well, because we're very, very thrilled that we get to share this Aim to Flourish story and share this video and share you as our Flourish Prize honoree for Global Goal 14 Life Underwater. I usually like at the end to just give anybody else an opportunity if there's anything else that they want to add to the story, if they want to say, about the assignment or about the experience. Just give anybody else a minute if they want to add anything else.
I'll add something. It was so pleasant at the beginning hearing the connection Otto and Tyler have indirectly. It seems we were chatting a little bit off outside of the talk here. And it's so nice to see those things as a professor. I'm grateful, Tyler, for you for interviewing with Otto and his team. Thank you very much for that time. Otto, great work. And good to see that you're doing so well.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't just me. The rest of my team, we were all worked very hard on this. And Dr. Castile, you did a lot to help us throughout the process, and really just opening our eyes to this project and getting this assignment completed and done, and really giving us the tools to broaden our horizons and look out there. And yeah, Tyler, really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us a couple years back and do this. It was very interesting to learn about your company, and like Chris had mentioned, it kind of spurred me into looking more into coastal preservation and renewable energy and just all these UN global goals. Because currently now I'm working for a company called Crowley Maritime in their new energy division, focusing on offshore wind and just looking to bring solutions of renewable energy to the Gulf of Mexico region.
Great. From my perspective, I just sat in on one phone call and answered some questions, and then all of a sudden here we are.
Well, look at the impact that you've had.
Somebody did some good work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and I would say, Otto, so it sounds like you would be a good person for a student team to call and interview then, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely looking into quite a few things. We're trying to be on the forefront of renewable energy and, the renewable sector itself. So I'd be more than happy to be a service and help any other people at Nichols in your class looking to look into the global goals in the UN 30 by 30.
Oh, cool. Thank you. You might be hearing from me.
Life comes full circle. I love it.
That it does.
It's wonderful. Great. Well, thank you so much to all of you for being here with me today and taking the time out of your day to have this conversation, to learn about how the Aim2Flourish assignment has been used at Nichols State University, and Otto, your and your team's experience, and hear more about Aura Estuaries from Tyler. I really appreciate it. Our Global Goal 14 Life Underwater Flourish Prize honoree team for 2021. Thank you so much. And we really look forward to continuing the celebration with you into the rest of the year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.